Hey, what's up? What's up, guys? How you doing? I am here in Colombia right now, Medellin, Colombia. What's up, mama?
Hey.
And that's my mama in the background. I love my mama, y'all. I just want to make sure that's abundantly clear. Um, and I want to say hello to you. This is the first time I've had a chance to go live in a little bit. Um, I went out today and I climbed this mountain. It was like this really high rock, and it really wore me the hell out. And and I was tired as shit, but it was great. It was a good workout. And because I've been on this fitness kick, I've been trying to lose this weight and get in shape and everything, and it's really working. It's something I want to encourage everybody. If you're thinking about trying to slim down, try to get in shape, trying to get your body back to where it was back in the day, I'm telling you, don't be afraid. Don't let anything hold you back. Just get you an accountability partner. Get you somebody that cares about you. Especially y'all brothers, the brothers that get a little older, when you get over 40, especially, well, even under 40 for some guys. I got a call from a young brother. I mentor a lot of young guys in their 20s and whatnot. Some of my favorite mentees that I just love are like guys like D1, and there's a few others, a lot of. So if I didn't mention you, doesn't mean I don't respect you. I just talked to D today, so he's on the top of my brain, and I love D1. D1 is an excellent rapper. If you haven't heard of him, you should have heard of him by now. I mean, he's been on Sway in the Morning and all kinds of stuff, and in fact, I'm gonna text Charlamagne because I think D should be on the Breakfast Club. But anyway, D actually, I'm very proud of him because he actually just became independent. He's one of the few guys I know who actually got an opportunity to be signed by Cash Money Records, Lil Wayne and Baby and all of them, right? So he got a chance to sign with Cash Money Records, and D1 phenomenally actually turned that down. He had the wisdom to say thanks, but no thanks. He was very respectful, but he told him, he just said, I don't think that's for me. I don't think that fits my spirit. And I respected that decision because a lot of young guys I know a ton of young rappers and guys that want to be athletes and everything else. A lot of young guys don't know, the downside of that. Like when you are young, you think you want to be down with the coolest kids on the block and all this other stuff. But then you get like maybe not even that old, like just a few years older, and you see some things, and you might have friends that are doing things that get you, possibly sent to federal prison for 50 years and shit like that. Then you start realizing like, wait a minute, everything that glitters ain't gold. Everything that glitters ain't gold. And I think that's one of the biggest things that black men have to learn and understand and really accept to the core of their heart, that everything that glitters ain't gold. And because here's the thing, the white man always got some shiny shit that he's putting in your face. He always got something. He's like, bling, bling, nigger. And we run for that shit. We so excited. We like, oh my God, I'm about to be famous, y'all. I'm about to be successful. The white man signed me. The white man gave me an opportunity. The white man gave me a paycheck. Now I'm a successful black man. And then you wake up one day and you realize that you ain't nothing but a fucking slave. The difference is that instead of being a low-paid slave, you're now a high-paid slave. That's the only difference. But sometimes being lower paid in money means you are higher paid in freedom. There's a lot of people who have less money who are happier because they have freedom than there are people that have more money who feel trapped, who feel locked in. I've known a lot of entertainers who've made unbelievable amounts of money. I'm talking about, $3 million a month, who did not feel totally free. And I think that one of the understandings that I think every young person should have is an understanding with yourself about what freedom really means to you, because it's gonna evolve over time, because you live in a world where a couple of things are happening. First of all, you have this addiction. Black people have this addiction to money. Like, we really want the nicest shit. We like to overspend on dumb stuff. We like to go out and make sure Gucci gets all our money. Like your whole welfare check gonna go to the hair salon or whatever it is, right? Like we love to do shit like that. But so you have an addiction to financial and material items. Hey, You have an addiction to financial and material things, but you don't have an addiction to the things that are going to get you the things that you want. You don't have a commitment or an interest in the things that get you that money. You know, you think that, for example, playing a sport, dribbling a fucking basketball is going to make you rich. That ain't going to make you rich. That ain't going to make you rich. Most guys I know that dribble basketballs never make a penny dribbling basketballs. I'm talking about the best basketball players I grew up with. I'm talking about the best guys in the state. I'm talking about all state, dedicate their whole lives to the damn sport. I'm talking about I'm going to make it to the NBA or I'm going to make it to the NFL. 99% of those guys never made a penny playing a sport. 99% of those guys never made a penny playing that damn sport. So think about this. How much of a bitch does that make you? I mean, I'm not saying it makes you stupid. I'm not saying it makes you dumb. It's not your fault. It ain't your fault. Because like I told you, everything that glitters ain't gold, but you got a lot of shiny shit in your face from the time you're a child, right? So it ain't totally your fault, but it turns you into a bitch. Because you got people that get, punked out where it ain't their fault they got punked, but they still got they still got something shoved up their ass, right? And so basically, what I just really want to make sure young people understand is that sports is not the way to make money in this country. Sports is not the way to make money in this country. In fact, sports is one of the worst ways to try to make money in America. It is one of the worst ways in this country to make any money. Let me give you an example. Let me just tell you, my background, right? When I was a kid, I used to love sports. Still do. Still love sports. I mean, I watch a football game with the best of them. NBA, I've watched everything. I watched J.R. Smith and his retarded ass, fuck up the championship for the Cavs. I know all of those details. I know a lot of stuff about NBA, NFL, all of that. I even had a chance to meet guys who play in the NBA, but I also know guys who owned NBA teams or who were general managers at NBA teams. I know guys like that. I know a guy who was the president of an NBA team. And so sports was always really, interesting to me. It was always like a big deal. Like every other black boy in America, I grew up on sports. I grew up on rap, right? Rap is, now Wayne, I'm gonna get to your comment in a minute. He says plenty of people make money in sports and you're trying to turn people off. No, I'm not trying to turn people off. I'm not trying to turn people off from making money from sports as a business, but I am turning people off from thinking that there's a high probability to make money from sports as an athlete. Most of the athletes I know, all county, all city, all state, most of those motherfuckers are sitting at home right now with a fucking liquor bottle in their mouth. Most of the guys I know who were, all state, all city, best basketball player I ever saw, all that other shit. Most of them got babies' mamas and are crying right now because they can't pay their child support. Most of the guys I know who were great athletes growing up ain't doing nothing right now. They picking up your garbage right now if they're lucky enough to even have a body that still works after playing in the NFL for about 35 seconds. So let's just be clear. Let's be abundantly clear. It needs to be made abundantly clear to the black man in America that playing a sport is not going to get you paid. It's not going to get you paid. Fuck the NFL. Fuck the NFL and these racist motherfuckers who will literally treat you like a criminal because you want to get on a fucking knee and commemorate black men who've been shot by the cops. They literally act like you went out and axe murdered 47 people last week because you simply want to acknowledge your fallen brothers out here in the street. That's how much of an animal they think you are. They're like, why in the hell would they look at you like a pig or a dog? They're like, why would the pigs care anything about other pigs that have been slaughtered? Why would a cow, why am I going to let a cow commemorate dead cows? Dead cows are everywhere. Nobody gives a fuck about a cow. You ain't nothing but an animal. You're nothing but a piece of meat to them. So let's just make that clear. Let's make that clear. Let me tell you an example. There's a guy in Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm from, a guy named James Quick. Go Google James Quick. No disrespect to James Quick, but James Quick, bad dude. Apparently great athlete. Tremendous. I'm talking about he was all state, I think all 4 years in high school. One of the best players in the United States. Won the 200-meter dash at the state championship 4 years in a row. The only person in the history of the state of Kentucky to ever win the 200-meter dash state championship 4 years in a row was running times that were damn near world class. He had world class speed, damn near like a Usain Bolt. That's how fast he was. That's what kind of athlete he was. Got recruited by Ohio State, my alma mater. Got recruited by all the biggest schools in the country. Chose to go to the University of Louisville, which has a strong football program. He played for Louisville for 4 years. James got, you know, he lived the dream, right? He's the contradiction, like, oh, boy, see, you're wrong. Like dreams really do come true, dog. Dreams really do come true. You know, it really does. So why are you being so negative? Okay, all right, well, fuck you. Let me explain why I'm still right. James Quick gets signed by, I don't know who the fuck, it was like the LA Rams or somebody. And check this out. So he gets this, I think it was what the hell was it? Like 3-year, $2 million contract, right? That's still, I mean, that's good money, right? I mean, you could live about $400,000 or $500,000 a year. Not hating on any of that. Not hating on any of that. But see, here's the little details that they get your ass. They get your ass because you spent more time throwing footballs than you spent reading. You spent more time dreaming about being in the NFL than you spent thinking about how contracts actually work. See, they got one little detail in there. The detail is this. So when you coming home, he's partying with his friends, like, yeah, we made it. You know, my dream came true, blah, 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 blah. Okay, all right, fine, whatever. But the detail that was missing from the conversation is, in order for you to get a penny on that contract, you got to make the fucking team. You got to go to training camp, and if they cut you before the end of training camp, guess how much money you get? Guess how much out of that $2 million you going to get? Zero. You'll get paid less than a $2 whore. You'll get paid less than an employee at McDonald's. You'll get less than if you was going out and putting on a Chick-fil-A uniform every day. Nothing. James Quick gets cut by the whatever the fuck team signed him and fed him this bullshit lie of a dream. And now James Quick is right back in Louisville, right where he started. Go Google James Quick right now. Somebody tell me what's the latest on James Quick, the guy who just got signed by the NFL. I checked on him because I heard of this guy. I heard about how good he was. I said, I wonder what's going on with this guy. I wonder if he made it to the NFL or what, because most of these guys never make it, but maybe he did. He just got arrested for disorderly conduct. He literally goes from being the hero of the state of Kentucky to being a guy who's going to jail in a bar fight. So now he's not anybody's hero. He's not any success story that you could talk about. He's another black male with a criminal record. He's another brother out here who allowed liquor and whatever and a stupid mindset to pull him into a dumbass situation. Now, I'm not saying he's not redeemable. I'm not dissing this guy for life. I'm not doing any of that. He might, for all I know, he could one day become president of the United States. I don't know. I'm not putting anything negative on his future. I'm simply talking about the facts as they stand right now. And when I saw that story, I said, well, yeah, I have seen that story 10,000 times. I have seen it happen over and over and over and over again. And I don't know what it is that they put in your milk and cookies when you are little that makes you think that you're going to go on your scholarship to Wichita State and go to play for the Dallas Cowboys. But whatever the fuck they're selling you, it's really working because it's the biggest goddamn lie known to man. And what's crazy to me is that you could show all the statistics. You could say, well, you know that it's easier to get struck by lightning than it is to last in the NFL more than 3 or 4 years. You can show them all kinds of data. You can show them all kinds of examples, but some people will never listen. Some people will never get it. I literally have to stop watching. Like, I start watching shows like Last Chance University on Netflix, where they got all these young brothers that are pulled into these JUCOs. The JUCOs, they eat good off of these schools that kick out the players for any little thing. Because again, because you're a slave, right? Because you're a slave, they have 1,000,001 rules to control you. These rules are designed to control you because they want to control that money. They know that the black male, just like any cow, chicken, or pig, or piece of meat, is worth billions of dollars. So you got to control your pigs. You got to control your chickens. You got to manage your cows and your cattle. So you got to manage your black males. You got to manage your prison inmates. You manage your athletes. So they manage you with 1,000,001 rules, telling you when you got to get up, when you could go to bed, how many times you get to eat, how much money somebody can pay you, what you get to do on the weekends, what books you're allowed to read, what classes you're allowed to take. They manage them like crazy. And then what happens is guys break the rules at some point and they get kicked out and they go to these damn JUCOs, who then start making money off of them when the universities aren't making money off of them. And it's so sad because I'm sitting there listening to these guys talking about how the NFL is the only dream that they have. They're all talking. I literally have to stop watching this show because as a black man who has been around athletes for the last 25 years, I have to stop watching because I have this legitimate fear that my head is just going to explode. I have a legitimate fear that literally a blood vessel is going to fucking explode in my head. I'm going to die on the goddamn spot because I cannot watch this shit. I cannot watch another fucking young ass kid at 20 years old who could have been anything, who could do a million things in this world, including play football, sit here and tell some white person, well, you know, all I got is the NFL, and if I don't make it to the NFL, shoot, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't got no plan B. I don't got no plan B. School, I'm not too good at school. I'm not too good at school. It's crazy to me because nobody explains, like, do you really understand exactly how few of the college athletes actually get to go to the NFL? And do you also understand how many of those people that actually get signed are only on the team for like 3 months? Do you really understand that the NFL ain't nothing but a fucking plantation meat market where they're gonna bust you upside your head until you fucking can't remember the name of your mama? They literally, have you ever, let me calm down, slow down, because I get carried away. I'm explaining like this. I was at an event about 3-4 years ago, and I met a guy who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers named Antoine Randall L. Antoine Randall L. was a Super Bowl champion. He played in the NFL for 12 or 13 years. He was that 1 in 1,000 or whatever who actually did get to the NFL and had a long career and made some money. Antoine, it was a very intelligent man, and we sat and we just talked for a minute because I was about to go out and give my speech, and Antoine was about to give his after I got done talking. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking to Antoine, and I'm like, hey man, you know, I heard about this stuff with the concussions, with the guys, you know, playing football, and they're really getting this brain damage, you know, and it's making them commit suicide and all these other things. I said, is that real? Is that for real? Like, what's going on with that? And he said, yeah, man. He said, it's very real. He said, a lot of times, you know, I'll be doing something and I'll be driving somewhere and I can't remember where I was going. Or I'll be trying to go pick up somebody, one of my kids from school, and I can't remember what school they go to. He said, or I'll see one of my friends who played in the league for a long time, and you'll see them, and you'll be like, hey, what's up, man? Where you been? How you been? Da da da. He said 5 minutes later, the same dude will walk up to you like he never saw you. He'll be like, hey, man, where you been? What's up, man? Good to see you, man. He said it's very, very strange. And about 3 or 4 years, maybe not even 3 or 4 years, maybe a year later, if you go look in USA Today, Antoine Randall L., again, Super Bowl champion. He lived out the dream. And he wasn't no dummy. He wasn't no guy that didn't want to study and all that. Antoine's very smart brother, very smart black man. He said in USA Today, he said, if I could do it over again, I never would have played football. He said, if I could do it over again, I never would have played football. And that was a huge statement coming from a guy who had won awards. He had won the Super Bowl. He had been on he didn't have no trouble making it. He made the roster of the Steelers every year and made millions of dollars. And even he said, when I compare it to what I'm going through right now, mentally, when I think about what I'm experiencing right now mentally, there's no way I would have played football. And so the NFL is the ultimate death trap for most of the brothers that try to get there. There are exceptions, of course. There are men out there who, you know, love the sport, you know, who played it, glad they played, living good lives now. God bless them. But unfortunately, most of those stories are not consistent with the reality of how the NFL interacts and engages with the black man in America. I'll give you some examples. Number one, go watch the ESPN special. I think it was called Broke. basically like 80% of these motherfuckers end up bankrupt within 4 or 5 years of playing football. 80%. It was some ridiculous statistic. It was crazy. It was higher than the general population. How you gonna live out the American dream and you broker than the motherfucker who never went to school, never had a good job, never made more than $10 an hour? How are you broker than somebody who only got a bachelor's degree when you supposedly, like, you made it? Like, what did you make it to? Did you make it to hell? Where did you make it to? So that's the first thing. Many of them are broke. Like, so what's going on? I'm gonna tell you what's going on. First thing, there's a bad culture surrounding a lot of that stuff. There's a really bad culture that comes in with spending more money than you got, because you never think the money's gonna run out. You're buying all kinds of expensive shit. You're letting these white people, these damn white and Jewish lawyers and agents, rob you blind, because they know that you don't have no education. They know that you've been, again, tricked into investing all of your life and energy into sports to the point where you ain't even thinking about the contracts. You ain't even thinking about your investments. You ain't even thinking about long-term asset allocation strategies. So they can they're basically making their family members rich off of you. They're cutting you into little pieces the same way a family carves up a fucking chicken or a turkey at Thanksgiving. The turkey's sitting there, they're like, you can have the leg, you can have the breast, I'm gonna cut you off the wing over here. And everybody's eating off your ass. So little Daniel Heitzman, or whoever the fuck he is, some little Jewish kid who ain't never thought about playing the sport. He done went to Harvard, got him a Harvard law degree. He put the same energy you put into playing football, he put that into learning how to get money, right? So he's a master. You a master of scoring touchdowns for white people. He's a master of getting money for his family. You know how to run and jump for your coach. He knows how to get out here and hustle and outsmart the rest of the world so he can make himself into a multi-millionaire. So little Daniel Keitzman or whatever is sitting there with you, and he's like, he knows how to speak your language. He's like, yeah, dog. He's like, yo, look, don't you worry about anything, Tyrone. You just go out there and you score the touchdowns. I'll take care of everything else. Here, but before you go, sign this and sign this and sign this. And I got a great investment. My cousin Leor has a liquor store he's gonna open, or he's gonna open a casino or whatever the hell it is. And it's a great investment, and we really think you should invest in that. So instead of investing in your hood, instead of investing in your community, you're investing with Daniel Heitzman and his cousin Leor and the new casino that they got set up. What you don't understand is that a couple of things. Number one, the contract they had you sign where he's managing your money, he's tacking in all kinds of fees that you never even talk about because you too busy, because somebody told you that reading wasn't your thing. Yeah, scoring touchdowns is your thing, but reading ain't my thing. That's what happens. You get in that trap. I was like that when I was a kid. I used to say, well, school ain't really my thing. I have a fucking PhD. How could I, as a PhD, as one of the smartest professors on the planet, and I own that title, I claim that title, how could I have grown up thinking school wasn't my thing? Well, it's because the white people educating me would get excited when I would run really fast or jump really high, or, ooh, you're really good with that basketball. And then I go to class and this white lady can't relate to me because I'm going to these white schools and I'm thinking, well, school ain't really my thing. But sports is my thing, right? That's literally my mindset as a kid. So there's millions of kids who grow up with that mindset. So because you think school wasn't your thing, reading ain't really my thing, I don't read too good, all this other shit, you don't even look at the damn contract. He done put $1,000,001 fees in that contract. And let me explain what that means. That means that when you make an investment, you're the fool because you're taking all the fucking risk. You're taking all the fucking, when you invest that $10 million, you might make money, you might not make money. But when he's tacking fees onto that 10 million, ain't no ifs when it come to his money. He ain't got his probability of losing money is zero. He has no chance of losing money because he gonna take that fee whether you make money or not. So he's got you coming in with this fee and that fee and that fee, and because you're so busy with the liquor and the weed and the women and the bling and all the shine that comes with being an athlete and having people think you made it when you really didn't, you're not even paying attention. You're not even paying attention. You know what happens? You know what happens? When your ass goes broke, when your accountant calls you and tells you that the Lambo about to get repossessed because you don't have enough money in the bank account to pay it, or your team, the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, old racist ass, tells you that he's gonna cut your ass because you got on a knee for the national anthem because you're upset about black men dying or whatever, and your money supply cuts off, but all the baby mamas are knocking and all this other shit's going on. that guy has already got his money out of you. And literally, like E40 said in his song a long time ago, he said they'll find a new nigga next year. He has eaten you up. On Thanksgiving, when we get a turkey, we put the turkey on the table, we put it in the oven, we cook it, make it fat and juicy and plump, delicious. We eat it, we chop it up, we share it, and then when that turkey's done and there's no meat left, it's just skin and bones because we have devoured that turkey, they throw it in the trash and they go get another one. They go get another one. They say, go, Martha, go back to the store and get us another chicken. Get us another turkey like we had yesterday, because that was delicious. So same thing they do with black male athletes. Like E40 said, they'll find a new nigga next year. You're fat and juicy and plump. They licking their chops when they see you on draft day, thinking you looking fly, thinking that the world is at your feet, not knowing all the dangers that lie in front of you. And they literally line up and they are literally in their mind thinking about how much money. They said, oh my God, the dumber the better. Look at how much money I can make off this nigga, because he don't even know he ain't gonna last more than a couple of years. He don't even know that. And here's the thing. Here's the thing you got to understand is that it really ain't their fault. It really ain't their fault. Well, why is it not their fault? Well, because you should understand that. If you're an athlete, you understand. If you play against an opponent and that opponent has not prepared for the game, then why is it your fault that you're scoring 1 million touchdowns on them? Why should they blame you or get mad at you because you scoring touchdowns on them and taking the ball from them at every turn? The reason you're winning the game 176-3 is because they're not ready to play. So you're going in as an athlete making all this money, not understanding the rules of the game. Nobody taught you the rules of the game. They only taught you how to handle your life on the field. They never taught you about all the ways people will devour you off the field. And that is one of the reasons why you have so many former athletes who are broke, destitute, torn apart, disabled, mentally fucked up, unhappy, alcoholics, drug addicts, lives just fell apart. And these guys, at one point, they were the flyest guy on the block. They were the coolest motherfucker on the street. All state, all city, all you know, you know what I'm talking about. I want to say all nation, but that ain't that. All American. That's what I want to say. So, look, you know, let me just say this, and I had to say this because I really kind of want brothers to understand this. Look, sports can be very good for you in a lot of ways. I'm not against sports. I've never been anti-sports. I've never been the little nerdy guy who didn't play a sport. I was in every sport. If I was playing football with you, I would try to knock your head off. I was on the track team. I was captain of the track team. I had to race all the fastest guys on the entire football team in order to get my spot on the relay team. And you know what? I outran every single one of those motherfuckers. We ran the 100-meter dash. I won by a good 7 meters. Like I was an athlete. I was into it. When I played basketball, I wasn't Michael Jordan, but I could shoot, literally, I could hit 10, 15 three-pointers in a row. So I know sports. I know what sports can give to you. I love good coaches because good coaches prepare you for life. What I hate, what I do not like, and what I think you need to consider if you care about yourself and you care about your family and you care about not looking like a fucking scrub when this is over with, is I need you to stop thinking that you were put on this earth just to play a sport. I need you to stop thinking that sports is the only manifestation of your greatness that can ever show itself to the rest of the world. I need you to stop thinking that the only time you are relevant, the only time you are capable, the only time you can be great is when you got a ball in your hand. That's a trick. That ain't nothing but white supremacy 101. That ain't nothing but something that a white man planted in front of you that made you discount every great thing you could do in this world because you somehow think that all you're meant to do is play a sport. Vince Young played for the University of Texas, another plantation where they rob black people left and right. They probably made billions, $2-3 billion off black athletes over to their school, and half of them sons of bitches can't read. It's fucking disgusting. Vince Young was All-American at University of Texas. He won the national championship. He won the Heisman Trophy, if I'm not mistaken. Bad dude. I watched him play against USC in the national championship. The man lit it up. He lit it up. Vince Young goes to the NFL, and he's on the cover of ESPN, the magazine. Now, this is when he's at his peak. This is when he's the man. And if I'm not mistaken, I remember looking at this article because I subscribe to that magazine because I'm a big sports fan. I love sports. And on this cover of this magazine, if I'm not mistaken, there was a quote that said, from him, it said, I was born to play quarterback at the University of Texas. At that moment, I began to feel sorry for him. At that moment, I remember thinking, this story is probably not going to end well for this young brother. It's not going to end well for him. See, the University of Texas is a fucking plantation. It's a bunch of old racist, stodgy white motherfuckers who use black people to make money and don't let you have shit. Will leave your mama in the projects and not give a fuck. Well, you can come tell them that your brother and your sister and your Aunt Lucy got shot this weekend in the hood because you couldn't send them $50 to get a bus pass to go over to Cousin Rerun's house, and they won't give a fuck. They'll say, well, tragedies like this happen, son, and it's terrible, but you really gotta, focus on football. All that matters is what you do on that field, because that's all you got in this world is football. They'll say dumb shit like that, right? So you're telling me, Vince, that your only purpose in this life, in this world, the only reason God put you on this planet is to go and throw a football for a bunch of racist ass white people. That's a mind fuck if I ever saw one. Like, that's literally, I'm like, you setting yourself up to be pimp for the rest of your life. So Vince goes to the NFL. He does all right for a while, but it doesn't pan out. Next thing you know, he's getting traded, getting cut, all these other things that happen, loses his starting position. And then next thing I remember hearing a story, because I remember thinking when I saw that quote, I said, if this guy ever loses his ability to play football, he's going to be suicidal because he's going to lose himself. He's going to lose every ounce of his identity. And lo and behold, there were reports that he was suicidal. He got mad after a coach's meeting and got in his car and drove off, and everybody's worried if he's going to kill himself. Now, I don't know what's happened to him now. I do know he's broke. Yeah, I do know he's broke. I know he made $30-40 million, and he blew it all, because that's kind of, I guess, what they train you to do. But I do remember that story about him being suicidal. I felt so bad for him, because what guys don't understand is this, and I'm gonna try to be a little more optimistic. My girl tells me that sometimes I'm too pessimistic when I get mad and I get angry, but I don't give a fuck. I swear to God, I do not give a shit. I'm a black male. I am a man who understands money, and I understand the educational system at these universities. I was at the University of Kentucky, Ohio State, Indiana University. I was around athletes, and I saw what they were doing to these guys. It is absolutely shameful. It is fucking shameful. The NCAA, only behind the American penitentiary system, has been the most destructive force for the black community in American history, other than slavery itself. You got slavery itself, then you got the American prison system, then you have the NCAA, in that order, in my opinion. But anyway, to be more optimistic, let me give you a more optimistic example that you can put in your pocket, so I don't sound like a complete fucking pessimist, but I can't help it. This stuff makes me cuss. It makes me cuss more. I can't help it. I can't help it, and I just don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks, because somebody need to tell these guys the truth. If you ain't telling them the truth, I mean, and I'm not even dissing, like, all these AAU coaches that go out and recruit your son when he's 3-4 years old. Why aren't they recruiting his ass for math class? Why aren't they recruiting his ass to go learn how to read? Why aren't they recruiting him to go learn how to run a business? They recruit him to go out and crack his head open on a football field. Like, it's crazy to me. It's like systematic blackmail self-destruction. That's what it ultimately becomes. I'm not hating. I'm not attacking all these coaches or whatever. I love sports. I begged my mother to let me play football when I was little. I begged her. I was like, Mom, I want to play football, because all my friends were playing. That was how I identified myself, as a football player. And I thank God to this day that she didn't let me play when I was in Little League. And I thank God also that I was not good enough to think that I could possibly go to the NFL. When you get to be all city and all state and all this other stuff you set in school records, it's easy to think that you are the next LeBron James, or that you are the next, great NFL star. But the fact of the matter is that guys don't really understand how hard it is to get to that level. They don't understand how many college All-Americans never play in the NFL. So a more optimistic story is one I had when I was teaching at Syracuse University. I was teaching this. I had a class. Syracuse is like a big racist school, like the rest of them. They're as racist as all these other schools are. To me, racism shows like how many black professors do you have? They didn't have hardly any for most of the black students. But there was so most of my students would be white, and I had one black male in my class who was on the football team. And this brother, we never talked. I don't know if it's because I didn't talk to him, but he didn't talk to me, but we just didn't talk. But he was in my class, and every single test, he got the lowest grade on the test. Every single test, he got the lowest grade on the test. And I knew of him because he was a star. He was like all conference or something, right, in the Big East, right, which is a big deal. It's very, very hard to be all conference in the Big East, but that doesn't mean you're gonna make it to the NFL. You probably still won't make it to the NFL because it's very, very hard to get there. So anyway, one day he came to my office because he was worried about failing the class. And he came and he talked to me, you know, like what I got to do to, you know, do better, da da da. And I told him, and so we just had a talk. And I said, look, I don't understand why you're not doing well in my class. I said, I used to play sports, and one of the things I know about you, from what I have read and seen, is that every single week you go out and you play in front of 20,000 people in that stadium and another 500,000 people watching on TV. You playing against some of the most ferocious athletes in the country. You dominate them all. And you memorize playbooks with offensive schemes. You memorize a playbook that thick. When I played football, I didn't know all the plays. I couldn't remember all the plays. That's why my coach didn't put me in that much, because he'd say run a 44 blast, and I'd be like, what the fuck is that? Like, I didn't know what the plays were. And I said, so you have to be intelligent to do what you do. You have to have, you know, extraordinary ability to do what you do. You are a great man. I said, so my class shouldn't be hard for you at all. I said, the reason you're not doing well in my class is because you're not trying. I said, you should actually have the best grade in this class. And we talked about it, and he left. And on the last test, I never forget, on every test he would get the lowest score. On that last test, he got like almost a 90. He got like an 88. And I don't know if it was because we had that conversation or not, but I was really proud of him. And what it really reminded me of is this. Look, this is where sports can be a good thing for young men. Sports, I'm not saying you shouldn't play sports. I'm not saying that at all. Because I'm not, if I said that, I'd be a hypocrite, because I'm not anti-sports. I'm very pro-sports. I like sports. Sports can work for you, but you got to make it work for you. Most of the guys I know who are successful athletes who go on and have successful lives are people where sports does not define who they are. Sports is a reflection of who they are. You see, if you are a great man and you're great enough to go out here and show the focus and intensity and discipline that it takes to go practice every single day, in the weight room, you know, 2-a-day practices in 100-degree heat in the summertime, taking hits to the face, taking hits that damn near knock your head off on the football field, and then getting back up and going at it again. Most people can't do that. Most regular people, they take one hit like that, they're gonna be crying. They'll be in the hospital. You take the hit and you get up and you stay focused and you get ready for the next play. People like that, those are great people. You are a great man. You have a warrior spirit if you're able to do things like that. So the only thing I would ask of the black male athlete is that if you're gonna be a baller on the field, then be a baller in everything you do. If you're gonna be a warrior when the white man blows the whistle, then be a warrior when it comes to everything you do in your life. You know, don't be like Mr. Everything, Mr. Universe, when you're on the sports field, but then turn into a retarded little bitch when you go into a classroom. Like, I don't understand that. How do you go from being the hardest working person in the world when you on the plantation, when your coach is blowing the whistle and yelling at you and telling you to pass the football, so you're the hardest working person in the world over there, but when it comes to your future, you become the laziest person in the world? That's what I don't understand. If you're going to be a great athlete, be a great person, be great at everything, because your sport does not define you. Your sport is a reflection of the greatness that's inside of you. I'm gonna tell you like this. When I went to college, I was not college material in my mind. I was not prepared to go to college. I had no interest really in education. I did not like reading. I could not read more than 2 pages at one time without going crazy. I did not see where education fit into my life because I thought education was for white people, but I thought sports was for me. I love sports. So you know what I did? Well, when I got to college, I realized that education was my only pathway to have a better life, because I wasn't going to play no sport. I wasn't going to the NBA or NFL, none of that. So I was like, how can I get out here and be successful? You know, I knew a couple things. I didn't know everything about my future, but I had a baby on the way, and I knew a couple of things. One, I knew I did not want to be broke. And 2, I knew I did not want to be punked. I did not want somebody telling me what to do, yelling at me, talking to me like I was a little dog. And so what I did was, to do well in school, I simply took what I learned in sports and applied it to my academics. I simply said, you know, in sports, okay, I know that if I want to win a championship, you practice every day. You practice consistently. You practice harder than the next man. You drill something until you get it right. You keep working and you work and you work. If you want more, you work harder. If you got second place last time, you want to get first, then you gotta step your game up. You keep going. And I did that when it came to academics. And the crazy thing was that literally to this day, I have professors from the University of Kentucky from back when I was an undergrad who still remember me because I was the #1 black student on that campus at that time. I literally had the highest grade point average of any black student on that campus, because when I applied every ounce of hard work and focus and determination that I applied to sports and I applied it to academics, I became enormously successful when it came to academics. That's why I got a PhD. That was the first time I was ever really good at anything. My whole life when I was a kid, I used to really want to be the best athlete. That's why I love sports. I used to work harder than everybody else. I was captain of the track team, not because I was the fastest, but because I would train 3 times a day. Everybody else had one practice a day. I would run in the morning, I would run at practice, and I would run at night because I was so determined to get faster. But unfortunately, I didn't have the genetics. I took my DNA test. I'm like 26% European, so I think that slowed me down. But anyway, I could only get so fast. But the beauty of when I applied that energy to academics, that same stuff I learned from sports, that discipline, hard work, and intensity, when I applied that to academics, there was no ceiling anymore. There was nothing holding me back. You know, that's why I went on to get a PhD, because I said, man, I'm killing it in here. I'm blowing these people away. We took the test. The average score was 63. I got a 95. Like, there was nothing more powerful than I felt to know that I walked in every room and I was the smartest person in that room. Even if I was the only black man in that room, there was not a person in that room who could fuck with me, right? And that to me was the feeling of a champion. Like, that's something I think a lot of these guys are looking for, right? You want to be a champion. Like, you want to hoist up the trophy. You want to win. You want to get ahead in life. And I'm telling you, dedicating everything to these damn sports is not going to do it long term. That's not how you're going to get to feel like a king long term. You're going to end up feeling like you're somebody's little whore. You're going to really feel like somebody's literally bending you over and putting something in your ass every morning. You will literally feel like the biggest bitch on the block because you won't be able to read. You won't have any skill. You won't understand anything about money. When that white man is barking at you on that job and saying, look, well, you don't like it here, but you can quit. You won't be able to quit because you're going to be stuck with a wife and kids and babies, mamas and bills, and you're going to want to kill yourself. You're going to hate your life. That's why I say to every black man in America, you got to understand that you are in the battle of your life when it comes to this country and white supremacy. You are in the battle of your life. It's like every day, you know, if you want to know why I'm so hyped all the time, it's because every day I feel like every day is like the championship game. Every day is the championship game, and I'm playing against the racist white boys who have the team that wins the championship every year, and they're coming to town and they're coming to embarrass me in front of my family. Like, and if I lose, they're gonna take everything I got. Like, every day I get up and I feel like I am in a competition with the world because I know I'm a black man. They don't want me winning. They want me broke. They don't want me ahead. They want me dead. They don't want me free. They want me in jail. They don't want me taking care of myself and my children. They want me out here begging them for opportunities, begging them for a job. So every single day, I literally have the same adrenaline rush that I had when I used to go out on the football field, on the basketball court, and I was playing against the most vicious opponent you can imagine. And every single day, I know I got to be ready for that game. You can't play in the championship game when you drunk and high all the goddamn time. That's why these fucking rappers that are convincing young black males to fucking drink syrup and stay high all the time, that ain't nothing but white supremacy. That ain't nothing but white supremacy. But the reason that you think it's okay is because they took the Klan and they put a black face on it. They took the KKK and they just made the Klansmen Klansmen black, just like you. So you think that because a black man is telling you to stay high and drunk all the time, that it's okay. But the fact of the matter is that just like in sports, in the game of life or any game in sports, you can't win a championship if you high and drunk all the time. Think about it. Imagine if you went on the football field and you were high as hell and you were drunk as hell. How many touchdowns you going to score when you drunk as hell? Nothing. You're not going to do anything because you're not even going to be coherent enough to understand what's going on around you. You're not going to be prepared. How do you go out? We talk about preparation in life, education, reading, learning how to start a business. That's preparation for life. So imagine if you go out into the game of life and you're not prepared. That's like showing up to the championship game in football and you ain't practiced for 3 weeks. What do you think is going to happen if you show up and you play in a big game in football and you ain't practiced for 3 weeks? You ain't lifted no weights. You ain't ran no drills. You don't know any offensive schemes. You don't know any defensive schemes. You're not ready. You will get blown away and embarrassed on that field. You will be the biggest loser known to man, and people are going to laugh at you because you're going to look like a damn clown. Well, that's what's happening in America right now. In America right now, the black man looks like a fucking clown half the damn time because we ain't ready for the big game. We going out to the championship game, which is the black man versus white supremacy. The black man against white supremacy, and in most of those games, white supremacy's winning 147-3 because we're showing up to the game. We are totally unprepared. We're showing up to the game drunk and high. We're showing up to the game not even enthusiastic or confident enough to believe that we can win. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. So what I'm saying is, this is my appeal to you. My appeal is to Team Black Man. My appeal is to the army of black men who understand what I'm saying. If you don't get what I'm saying, or I hurt your feelings, or you think that I'm just an asshole or a coon, or I'm just being mean or whatever, then then fuck you. Just hang up. Just leave this live stream right now. Don't even watch this video. For the men who get it, the men who understand, I am begging you to help me please change this narrative. Start telling these young guys, look, you can play a sport if you want to, but playing these games are for children. Games are for children, and at some point you stop playing the games and then you go into the real game, the game of life. You really go into battle, and that is the game that you have to be prepared for. So the child's game only has relevance to the extent that it prepares you for the real game. Playing college football, college basketball, whatever the fuck you play, that ain't nothing but that's scrimmage. That ain't nothing but scrimmage. The real game starts when the University of Alabama done use your punk ass up for 4 or 5 years and spit you out. They won't hire you as a coach because they don't want you as a coach. They want the white boys to coach. That's why Nick Saban's making millions of dollars over there. Nick Saban ain't never scored a touchdown for Alabama for all I know. Maybe he did in 1955 or some shit. But Nick Saban, and last time I checked, those touchdowns are being scored by black men. But if that's the case, if black men are scoring all the touchdowns at Alabama, why is the white man the one collecting $8, $9, $10 million a year? Because they don't respect you. They see you as nothing but a piece of meat that they can use up for 3 or 4 years, and then they chew you up, spit you out, and don't give a shit about you afterward. Maybe they'll hire a couple of black guys to be like, the assistant coaches, or you could be the wide receivers coach or something like that, because they need somebody that can relate to the savages. They need somebody who can speak that chopped up language and mumble rap and shit, so that the guys will go on the field so they can make money for them. That's why they hire them, right? But they'll never promote those guys to be head coach. They'll never take that black guy who won the Heisman for Alabama, made them millions of dollars, but didn't quite get to the NFL because he hurt his knee in the last season or whatever, who's now the receivers coach. They'll never go to that guy, tap him on the shoulder and say, hey son, we know what you've given to this university. We want you to be the next head coach of Alabama. They don't do that because they save the big piece of chicken for themselves. They save the big opportunities for themselves. The black man is a donkey and a mule for these white racist institutions. I know that because I taught at these schools for 25 years. I have taught at the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, Syracuse University, the Ohio State University, the University of Rochester. I've taught in China and I've taught in Europe. And I'm here to tell you, straight up, point blank period, that nobody in America respects the black man. Nobody respects the black man. And the reason nobody respects the black man is because half the damn time the black man don't respect himself. If you went around here talking about, I can go and I can catch footballs for white people, but I don't want to spend time learning how to read, or I don't read too good, then how are you gonna, what self-respect is that? What self-respect is that? Seriously. Or if you tell me that you can go out here and work like a damn field slave for somebody who's giving you a paycheck, but you don't even have the confidence to think that maybe you could be the boss instead of him being the boss, then what kind of self-respect is that? Because I'm going to tell you like this, when I gain my self-respect, I don't see myself as the subordinate. I am willing to be the subordinate if that's what the situation calls for. But if somebody needs somebody to take over, the driver's wheel and become the boss, I'm like, I'm stepping up. I can do that. I'll take that role. There's no point where I say, well, gosh, well, maybe I just can't do it. Again, it ain't your fault. It ain't your fault. A lot of our young men do not have confidence, partly for a lot of reasons, some of it may be because you were never around a man. You never had a man talking to you like this growing up. That's why people get offended when I talk. But seriously, when you have a man like me in the house every day, it breeds a different kind of male. But when you got a mother who doesn't know what to do with you, or maybe she's enabling you, or maybe she's coddling you, or feeling sorry for you every time you cry, that's not helping you. That's not helping you. Think about this. Imagine if you went to play football and every time you took a hit and you started crying, the coach gave you some milk and cookies and cuddled you in his arms and said, "It's okay, baby. Come on. You're going to be all right." What if your coach did that? What kind of player would you be? Sure, you might feel better, but you'd be a shitty player. Would nobody respect you? You'd be the biggest bitch on the field, right? So that's how life is. If somebody's always coddling you, then how are you ever going to be a warrior? How are you ever going to be strong enough to endure and overcome anything if you're always being coddled every time something goes wrong? You see, the thing about really winning, and sports explains all this to you actually. If you have ever played football or basketball, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Even run track. Track is actually a very grueling sport. Track practice used to make me throw up every day. If you've ever done any of these sports, you know one simple law of nature. And that law of nature is that what doesn't kill you always makes you stronger. That adversity is what builds strength. You will never show me at any point in my life or your life any person who has gone through, who has become great at something, who is extraordinary at something, who has not endured adversity. Every person who is great has got battle scars. There's nobody who can just waltz in like a little bitch and go and become king of the mountain. It doesn't happen. Kings have scars. Kings have gone through hell. Kings have had to be warriors to become the king. And then you got to be a double warrior to protect your throne, because everybody's going to try to take it as soon as you get there. So if you don't have a certain mindset for that, if you cry like a baby every time something goes wrong, then where do you think that's going to take you? It's not going to take you anywhere. So the black male in America, many of the black males, not every black male, but the black male in America, for the most part, many of our young brothers don't get respected because we are trained to cry. We're trained to whine whenever things get hard. The only time they don't do it is when they're on the football field or something. When you're on the football field, guys become tough, they become aggressive, but they get off the field, it's suddenly like, I swear to God, I watched that Netflix show, Last Chance U. Most disgusting shit I ever saw. It's an interesting show, but it's sad. It makes me very sad. You know, I sat there and watched these young guys at a fucking junior college thinking that they're all going to the NFL, and none of them, like not all of them, I'm not gonna say all of them, at least half of them refused to go to class. Came to class, this little white lady was running around coddling them like little babies, and she's like, "Oh, well, DJ didn't bring his paper today. DJ, did you bring a pencil?" "No, I didn't bring no pencil." Hey, oh, well, school ain't really my thing. I've been calling. I called Joe today because his paper was due. He was supposed to turn. If he didn't turn in the paper, he's not going to be able to play. And I called him and I texted him and I called him last night and he's not answering. And I'm sitting here like, somebody needs to like just drop kick the shit out of all these motherfuckers like right now. Like seriously, like if these were my sons, I would literally want to strangle every single one of them and be like, what are you doing? You know you can do better than this. But instead, they're coddling them. And the guy would say, well, you know, like I was supposed to do the homework. I forgot. One of the guys was supposed to go buy books, and he went and bought some Beats by Dre headphones and didn't have any books because he spent his money on some new headphones. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is interesting, because think about this, the contrast. So when he's doing this retarded shit when it comes to academics, everybody's kind of overlooking it, or they're saying, well, you know, that's not, you know, that you shouldn't have done that. You know, you shouldn't have done that, right? It's like cute. It's like they're kind of laughing about the fact that these guys are not going to have a future. These guys are going to be an embarrassment to their families. They're going to be an embarrassment to their children. They're in 5 years, they're not going to be able to provide for their kids, right? They're not thinking about the train wreck that's about to happen. All they care about is making sure this Negro is eligible to play football. But then when they go on the football field, it's a whole different story. The coach is demanding accountability. Even when you're doing your best, he's barking at you. He's telling you should have hit the hole harder. Why don't you do it? Go at him. You tackle him. You fucked up today. The coach is on their ass when it comes to football, like making sure they do every single little bitty thing necessary to be an absolute superstar, A+ perennial supreme athlete. But when it comes to the academics, they literally treat you like you are retarded. They literally treat you with these softy little kid gloves. Because again, remember, academics, the academic side, that's the important game. So remember, the games you're playing on the field, that's scrimmage. That's just games are for kids. That's the game you're playing for a couple years while you in college. But then in 2 or 3 years, you're gonna start the real game, the game of life. And you're going to get your ass kicked because you're not ready. You haven't been practicing. You haven't been getting prepared. Because you can't tell me for 1 second that any of these guys who memorize these playbooks that are this thick, who have the discipline to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and practice 2-3 times a day, who can focus and catch passes and run against some of the greatest athletes in the country in front of thousands of people every week, you can't tell me they don't have the focus to fucking get ready for a math test on Tuesday. Or to write a fucking 2-page book report. You can't tell me they can't do it. But what happens is that they don't care. The community around them doesn't care. And those white people sure as hell don't care. They could give a fuck less if you leave the University of Tennessee and can't spell the word Tennessee. They got kids literally. They got guys that graduate from the University of Tennessee with a diploma in hand, and you ask them, spell Tennessee. They can't fucking spell Tennessee. So they care nothing about you. And what is really tragic about this is that the game that you think is the little game becomes the big game. So you go to the NFL Combine thinking that you're going to make your mama proud and get signed by the, the Dallas Cowboys or whatever racist ass football team decides to pick you up. They bring you and they don't draft you. So then you're disappointed about that. Now you're depressed, right? Another excuse to, hit the weed and liquor, whatever it is you do when you get depressed. And then you go to a bunch of tryouts. You're doing all these workouts. And then maybe you get signed and you do like my friend did. One of my friends, he played at a big name school. He was an All-American. He got into the NFL. He did not get drafted, but he got signed. He thought that he was going to be good for the rest of his life. He played for a year and a half, and they kicked him off the team. But in that year and a half, he developed a drug addiction because in order for you to play, you got to understand, when your whole identity is wrapped around a sport, that's your life. That becomes your life. So losing that sport is like death. And if you look at the way how desperate people become when they're trying to avoid death, they'll do anything to avoid death. So when you're looking at the death of your identity as an athlete, you do anything in order to prevent that. So he gets out in the field, he breaks his wrist. Well, they're like, well, if you're really tough, son, you can get out there and you can play with a broken wrist. So he starts taking all these painkillers so that he won't feel the broken wrist until, after it's over with, right? Because he don't want to lose his spot on the Buffalo Bills. So he's out here playing with broken wrists, and he's taking all these anti-inflammatories and painkillers and all that, and doing everything, steroids, all of that, try to beef himself up. And he gets to the point where he's big, he's 350 pounds, 6'5", something like that. And they still cut him. 2 years in, they still cut him. So after that, he's in this depression because he's lost his ability to play football. He's died. He's literally died. His whole life, he's never focused on education. He never did the easy thing, which would have been to learn how to start a business. If you know how to start a business and you've been trained on that your whole life, then getting money is easy. All you gotta do is go fill out an LLC, get with your boys, get a little money invested, and get to cracking, get to making money and scoring dollar bills like you were scoring touchdowns. The best touchdown in the world I ever scored was not on the football field. The best touchdown I ever scored was when I was cashing $10, $20, $30,000 checks. That was better than a touchdown, right? Same mentality, same outcome, same everything. Difference is, where do you apply your energy? So he could have easily have learned that, but nobody taught him that. His whole life, he was the biggest, he was the best, ever since he played that fucking AAU football at the age of 6 or 7, where they started indoctrinating you into this path of black male self-destruction. His whole life, he was getting passed from class to class because he was a good athlete. So he knew he had nothing. He knew nothing. He did not know how to go out and even get a decent job, which still would be torture because you're a big black man working for some little white guy who already has preconceived notions of how you think because you're black, right? So even if he wins, he's still losing, right? But he couldn't even get the losers win, right? He couldn't even get the job, right? So he's unemployed, sitting at home in a liquor bottle, still taking them drugs, getting fatter now. Now, mind you, he's not working out anymore. He's not in tip-top shape. So he goes from 350 pounds to like damn near 500 pounds. So by the time he's 32, he is on dialysis. He is going to dialysis 3 times a week, and he's got brain damage by the time he's 32. And he can't pay no bills because nobody ever taught him how to prepare for the big game of life. You were so busy focusing on the scrimmage that you did not understand the need to practice for the real game, which is what happens after the white man gets done using you up through sports. Let's just be clear. It's a plantation. It's a fucking plantation. And the reason they make you think it's not is because they show you a couple examples of a couple of black people who are doing really well. You see LeBron James making $30 million a year, you're thinking, I could be like him. No, you're not. You're not going to be him. You're not going to be LeBron. 1 out of 10,000 of y'all will get a chance to make big money in sports. 2 out of 10. I know a guy who used to be the president of an NBA team. And he said, boys, please tell these guys that it's very, very hard to get into the NBA. This is a brother who knows everything there is to know. He signed players to $120 million contracts. He's like, I don't know why their families dedicate everything to them trying to get into sports, because this is a very difficult business to break into. So what I'm simply saying is basic. I'm not saying black men should not play sports. You know, you have really special DNA. You have African-American slave DNA in your body where for 400 years they had you doing the hardest labor imaginable. They were breeding the strongest slaves. They won't talk about it, but what they did in that process was they created a whole like culture of superhumans. Literally. Black male athletes are superhuman. If you look at, even on that show Last Chance U, when they're bringing in all these guys that are superstar athletes, 95% of them are black. Damn near all these guys are black. It ain't a coincidence. It's because we have something in our DNA, in our genetics, that gives us a tremendous advantage when it comes to sports. Play your sport. Play your sport. Do it. If you love football, play football. I don't care. I mean, the brain damage issue is there, of course, but I mean, I like football too. I can't even blame you if you like it. If you're a great basketball player, then you should. Why not play basketball? Just don't leverage everything on a damn sport. If you're gonna be great in a sport, understand sports is a vehicle for you to be great at everything you do in life. Even Michael Jordan, put aside his politics for now. I don't give a fuck about whether he's a Democrat or Republican and all that shit. We'll talk about that later. Michael Jordan, whether you like him or not, one thing you cannot say is that he's a loser when it comes to the ability to build businesses and empires and make money, right? Everybody out here trying to talk about how to get money. I want to get money, get money. Michael Jordan has went out and got money. LeBron James has figured it out. Right? And what these guys have figured out that a lot of guys have to learn is that the same mindset you have, the same mindset it takes to be one of the best athletes in the world is the same mindset it takes to be one of the best business people in the world. It's the same mindset it takes to be one of the best scientists in the world. It's the same mindset it takes to be one of the best attorneys in the world. My friend DeMario Solomon Simmons used to play at the University of Oklahoma, one of the greatest football programs in this country. and the same greatness that he displayed on the football field that got him a chance to play at the University of Oklahoma is what makes him one of the best attorneys in America today. So the point of the matter, and Will Smith made this point too a long time ago, I thought it was great, is he said he realized that if you're great at something, don't just be great at the thing you're great at, be great at everything. Greatness should be an energy, a spirit, a philosophy that you carry into everything you do. If you're the greatest on the football field, but you're playing tiddlywinks, you should be the greatest tiddlywinks player in the world. If you're playing chess, you should be the best chess player in the world in that moment, if you can be. If you are learning to read, you should try to be the best reader in the world. If you're trying to debate somebody, you should focus on learning to be the best debater in the world. If you're trying to go start a business, you should focus on being the best businessman in the world. Be the best at everything. That's all it is. That's what, I've accomplished some things in my life, and I'm very proud of those things. I was the only African American on Earth to get a PhD in finance when I graduated in the year 2002. I'm very proud of that, and I share that because I want people to know that stuff. And the same mentality that it took for me to do that literally was nothing more than a translation from what I used to have when I used to practice for track and field 3 times a day. In track and field, I always said I may not be the fastest, but I'm going to be the hardest working out here. That was my philosophy, because I knew that if I was the hardest working person out here, I'm going to get something out of this. I'm going to succeed at some level. Well, I translated that into academics. When I got into academics and I realized, like, okay, this is going to be my chance to win championships. This is going to be my chance to make money. This is going to be my chance to be a king. This is going to be my chance to win that big game, the big game of life, against white supremacy. The white man is not going to spend his time with his foot in my neck. I am not your bitch. I'm not your boy. I'm not your child. I'm not your little man. I'm not some little Negro from the hood that you're giving an opportunity to. I don't fuck you and your opportunities. I don't need your sympathy. I don't want your charity. I don't want any of that. I am a man. I am a man. And because I am a man, I'm able to fight for what I get. And I knew, though, that in order for me to maintain that disposition, I had to focus all my energy on being the smartest black man I could possibly be, because as you know, when you get into the big game, the defense is going to run every single trick they can to try to stop you. Their offense is going to run every scheme they can throw at you that will throw you off balance. It doesn't matter if you're complaining about the refs. It doesn't matter if you're mad because you're on their home court. It doesn't matter if you're mad because you're injured and they have better play. In a game, you can't focus on that. You can't say, well, we would have won, but we had injuries and the referees was cheating and we had to play in their home field and they're really good and we weren't prepared. Like you can't do that. In sports, you don't do it. In sports, you go with what you got and you prepare the best you can and you go at it with everything you got to try to win. Why don't we do that in life? Why don't black men do that in everything that we do? We don't do that in life. In life, what do? Well, the reason Tyrone can't read is because he grew up in the hood and he was a poor black male, and of course that excuses every dumbass thing that he does his whole entire life, and that's why he doesn't take care of his kids, is because when he was little his father left, and there are no jobs for black men because white men won't take care of us like little babies, and nobody's gonna help us out, and that's why that explains every fucking lazy ass shit that I did. That explains why I get up in the morning and don't get out of bed and don't even try, because everything's stacked against me and it's a white man's world and white supremacy and white people hate me and they don't like me and they told me that black lives don't matter and they're blah, 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 blah. That's literally what we do in life. So imagine if everybody in here who knows anything about sports, imagine if you played a game like that. Imagine if you went into a game and literally that's the mindset you had. Like, of course we lost. We're injured. They're better. We're playing on their home court. The referees were cheating and life ain't fair. And our players are not as tall as their players. Like that would make you look stupid. You would look like a punk. You look like a punk. So what I simply will say is that I think we have to train our men to compete. Our men need to be trained to compete. And I'm sorry, but, some of the moms that are raising these boys, some of y'all, and some of the dads too. And this ain't no hate on the moms, because the moms are doing the best they can. But some of the moms ain't got that competitive instinct. It's okay though. Like, my mother wasn't a competitor. I'm talking about my mom. My mama was tough, but she wasn't like my daddy. You know, my mother, like if I went out and got into a fight and got punched in the face and scraped my knee, like my mother would be like, oh, come here, baby, and would put the bandage on the knee, and you want something to eat, and would tell me it was going to be all right. My father would be like, okay, now what are you going to do next time to make sure that he don't keep bullying your ass? You know, get up off your ass. Stop crying. Like, that's what my father would do. You know, and I think that's what's happening with our boys is everybody, the black male, not all black males, but many black males are very weak because the whole world is encouraging him to whine instead of fight. That's it. You're being encouraged to whine instead of fight. Your mama's telling you that it's okay to whine, and white people want you to whine, especially these white liberals. These white liberals, they pretend to be your friends, but all they are is your enablers. They literally enable and excuse every ridiculous thing that you do. If you're 20 years old and you don't know how to read, well, it's because you're black. Why would you expect someone who grew up in those conditions to be able to read like everyone else? They were left behind. Kind of, sort of, but I mean, I see that person, that same person, get up and when they want something, like when they want a new pair of shoes, or they want some Beyonce tickets, or they want to go find a way to get some more weed, they become very ambitious. If they want some new Gucci shoes, they want a green Gucci suit, shoot, they own it. They own it. So I don't understand this. To me, if you're disabled and you're weak and retarded and you can't accomplish anything, then that should apply to everything you do, right? You shouldn't be, you know, the lazy man when it comes to things that are going to benefit you long term, but then become like Mr. Ambitious when it comes to going and getting another piece of ass from some woman across the street and making babies that you can't take care of. Like, I don't understand that. I don't get that. It's a contradiction. It's a complete contradiction. Or when you tell me like, oh, well, the reason that this person doesn't put their child in an educational program is because the program costs $50 and poor people can't afford a $50 educational program. Okay, that's fine. So we're saying that poor people can't afford to buy anything that costs $50. Are we right? Are we right? Because that's what you got to say to me. Because I know a lot of shit you could go sell to poor motherfuckers, supposedly broke motherfuckers, where they will find that fucking money. You selling hair weaves for $150, you gonna sell out a hair weaves in about an hour. If you are selling like bullshit, you know, concert tickets or whatever, like Future comes into town, dumbass rappers like Future come into town, who are literally part of the white supremacist objective of getting black males addicted to drugs to the point where they become non-competitive. Future comes to town, his tickets are $100 a piece. I know a lot of broke motherfuckers who will come up with $100 to buy that ticket to go see Future. So I'm trying to understand why, again, you're telling me that you can't afford $50 to educate your child. That's values, man. That ain't nothing but values. You know, and what liberals steal from you is they steal your ability to be self-accountable. They steal your right to self-determination. And also liberals are pushing this whole agenda of getting rid of gender and using stupid ass terms like toxic masculinity, basically saying anything in you that makes you a man, that makes you aggressive and makes you competitive is toxic and terrible and horrible, and you need to just filter that out. And then they're getting the little black boys on drugs at the age of 5 to get the so-called toxic masculinity out of their system, so they literally become brain dead drones every day that are easy to control. Well, I mean, that's exactly what you would do if you were trying to, like, prepare sheep for slaughter. Or if you were preparing your pigs to get slaughtered and pigs are acting wild and going crazy and trying to run around, well, you might dope them up to get them to, like, calm down so you can just chop their heads off without them fighting back. So that's pretty much what's happened to the black male. The black male in America, unfortunately, most black men, you know, are not in that space of intellectual freedom. Most black men are not in a space where they feel comfortable being aggressive and assertive and really going for what they want. The only time that changes is when it comes to little stereotypical shit, like guys get hard when it comes time to be a thug or when it's time to be an athlete. Like, you know, seriously, like, I don't understand it. Like, I would watch that show, that Netflix show I told you about, Last Chance U, and I would see these guys, when it comes to football, they are aggressive warriors, just hardcore. We gonna get them. Yeah, go get them. Knock their head off. Punch them in the mouth. Take it down the field. Go get it. I'm seeing all this powerful energy, like the energy of kings, And then when it's time for them to do the important stuff, which is like learning so you can be a good father to your kids one day and take care of yourself and not be a bitch to the white man, they literally turn into the biggest pussies I've ever seen. Well, I didn't, I mean, yeah, I know I ain't went to class in about, about 3 weeks or nothing, but, I'm just kind of, doing whatever, man. I'm just, but I'm if I get to the NFL and stuff, that's gonna be all right. I don't know what I'm gonna do if I don't make it. Like I don't get it. I'm like, I don't understand that. Like, to me, just be consistent. That's it. Just be consistent. I mean, if you are a bitch, if you are a man and you are a bitch, just be a consistent bitch. Just be a bitch in everything you do. If you're gonna be
Okay, my video got shut off a little bit earlier than I expected, but I wanted to just kind of close out and kind of make my final key point. My key point, when I was making that last point about making a choice, here's what I'm trying to say. All I ask for the black man in general, for all black men who are listening to what I have to say, is be consistent. Be consistent. That means if you a bitch, be a bitch all the time. If you a punk, be a punk all the time. If you're irresponsible, be irresponsible all the time. If you're lazy, be lazy all the time. But if you are a warrior, if you are a hardworking person, if you are goal-oriented, if you are competitive, if you want to win, if you are a champion, be a champion all the time. Be a champion consistently. Don't just be a champion and a warrior and a fighter and a winner and a goal setter and a hard worker when you're on the football field, and then turn into a lazy bitch when it comes time for you to play the real game of life, which means learning, studying, building wealth, protecting your family, learning the things you need to know, learning how to start a business, which is what every black man needs to do. Because white people ain't really hiring black men like that. They don't hire you. They don't give you the promotion you deserve. They don't give you the money you deserve, especially if you got a criminal record. If you're a black man with a criminal record, you damn near might as well forget it. They ain't going to give you hardly no opportunities in this country. And that's not going to change for probably another 50 to 80 years, if we're lucky. Be consistent. If you're a warrior on the field, be a warrior in everything you do. If you're a winner on the field, be a winner in the classroom. If you are a champion when you're dribbling basketballs and throwing footballs in front of white people, then be a champion when you are out here in the streets hustling and working hard for black people. If you are strong and ferocious, when it comes time to make a tackle, then be strong and ferocious when it comes time to read a book. See, the same energy applies in everything you do. The same energy, same principles apply. Every ounce of so-called success that I've had in my life has come from a simple fact. All I did was take everything I learned from playing sports as an athlete about winning, competitiveness, goal setting, practice, working hard, and being consistent. And I applied it to business. That's how I was able to make, a lot of money, the millions of dollars, without dribbling a basketball, without cooling for white folks. I took everything I learned from sports about goal setting and outworking the competition. I applied it to academics. That's why I became the #1 student on the entire University of Kentucky campus, not because I was some genius or something like that. I probably have become pretty smart because I've been studying for a long time. That's what happens. The more you study, the smarter you get. But at that time, I was no different from anybody else. I used to think that school wasn't my thing. And the worst thing that they do to you when you're young and you're black is they teach you that school ain't your thing, so that you'll dedicate your whole life trying to get onto their NFL plantation so they can fire your ass and humiliate you because you're kneeling for the national anthem. Most of the NFL players are not free. They are absolute, complete, total slaves, and that's not where you want to be. I'm not saying you don't want to play a sport. Go play a sport. Do it. But just know, games are for children, but the real game and the real war starts when you become a man and you're fighting the game of life. That's what I'm saying to you. That's my appeal to you. Well, I'm going to get out of here, guys. Feel free to join us at blackmenunited.net. That's our organization for black men. These are the principles we believe in. So if this message does not work for you, then this is not the place for you. But if it does work for you and you want some help implementing strategies on a day-to-day basis on how to accomplish those goals and how to become that man, we can help you do that. Our goal is to build a better black man, because a white man ain't gonna do it. So stop letting white people build our boys. Stop letting white people educate our kids. Stop letting white people employ you. Stop letting white people do everything for you. They're not ever gonna build a better black man. They can, at best, they can build you into a white man with black skin, and at worst, they're gonna build you into a bitch. Because bitches are easy to control. Punk ass men are easy to manage. So don't be a bitch. Be a strong man. Talk to you later. Peace.